Do you want the tools to create the life that you want? Do you need the guidance to be able to implement them like a badass? Well, you came to the right place. Welcome to the Next Level Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Leslie. And today I have an amazing guest. He has become a dear friend of mine very, very quickly, and we're going to get into why right away. Rick Barnes,
Hello,
welcome.
my dear. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, of course. So before I get into the title and all the cool things about you, will you share with everybody how we became friends, the instant moment that we became friends? when we went out for coffee.
We went out for coffee. We were having something to eat, and I felt comfortable enough to ask you if I had anything in my teeth. I said, "Would you do me a favor? Do I have?" I don't even remember what it was. Was it broccoli? I don't know, but just like, do I have anything in my teeth? And then you caught yourself and you started like licking your teeth a little bit. And it's like, no, you're fine. Do I have anything in mine? And it was that moment we were like, okay.
Right. And I'm like, check your teeth. And you like did the big grin with your teeth. And then I did the same thing. Like, what about me? Just like I'm doing now. And it's like, oh my God, we're friends forever.
I felt comfortable enough to do that. I was just like, I think I've got crap in my teeth. Let's find out.
You got to have each other's back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was great. It was awesome. And we talked for like hours that day, just bantering. And that's why you're here, because we have so much in common. There's so much that you have to share with my audience.
Well, thank you. There was so much that I felt that we were in alignment on. It's like, because there are things that I say to some people and they just don't get it. They have no clue. It's just like, right above, right through and out. And with you, your eyes opened up. You were like nodding, like, yes, yes. And then you came back at me with even better shit, right? Like, oh my God, she gets it. This is so cool.
We were literally just tossing this brilliant ball back and forth, and we were just building and building and building. Like, my mind was blown. I felt the same way. I'm like, this guy gets it. Well, and obviously you do. And I'm going to share with everyone here why he is so magnificent and why we just had these sparks flying intellectually, because he is very significant in the wellness and recovery sort of environment. He worked with celebrities, a lot of celebrities, as a life coach with their addiction and their recovery. And you are a wellness and recovery coach. That's like your official title, right?
That's what I call myself. Yes, I'm certified in addiction, substance abuse. I'm a substance abuse specialist, and I have a certification in being a recovery coach. But I've expanded past that. Like I was only a recovery coach for a long, long time, and I started to go deeper. It's like, I want more training. Because trauma comes up, and mental health and all this other stuff was happening, and so I wanted to get it together. I want to get my shit together. It's like, I want to be able to help these people in all these other areas as well. So I got a bunch of other certifications and a bunch of training and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so your passion from this came from personal experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Personal experience. I'm sober 32 years. I was a drug addict for a long time, and crashed and burned when I was 28. I had started out in the entertainment industry myself, and just completely grenaded my whole career, and didn't know what to do. I got sober. I went to rehab when I was 28. Got sober, and continued to work in the production field. I was an assistant director making music videos in Hollywood. I lived in Hollywood for 29 years, and MTV was no longer playing the videos, and they were switching their format, and the record labels weren't spending big dollars on music videos anymore. And I was like, what am I going to do? I mean, this is my career. And I had a friend who was a famous rock star, and he had just gotten out of rehab, and he was going on tour. And he came to me and he said, will you go on tour with me? I was like, for what? He said, I just need someone in recovery to be with me. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I went on this world tour. And when I got done with that, there was a woman there in LA who actually ran a business of people who did this. She would send people on movie sets and rock tours and, all kinds of stuff. She hired me. And I worked with her for 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. I didn't know that was how you actually got into it. We talked a little bit about it, but not that you had a friend that wanted you to be on the tour with you.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Because, you know, I was a Hollywood guy. I went to a lot of Hollywood AA meetings, and I, hung out in Hollywood spots. You know, I knew a lot of people, and plus all the music videos I had shot. You know, this guy just felt comfortable with me, and he said, "Come on tour."
Yeah, it's who you knew in right place, right time, and
Yeah.
you have the skill set and the experience, and it's so wonderful for you to share. I mean, it's when you walk the walk, there's so much more value in it. And you talked about that too from my experience and, all the craziness my life sort of brought me, and being able to like break it down and go, wow, like I learned so much. How can I help? It makes you so much more of I don't even want to say guru, but it just makes you so much more of a resource for people when you've been there and you can talk firsthand, because you know the ins and outs, the things that are going to trip people up. You kind of foresee it and you can prepare them for it and hopefully get them through it in a much easier way.
Exactly. And I've been through enough now that I know when I'm going through something, which, we'll call a bad experience, I know it's going to benefit someone. So I don't welcome it. None of us want to go through bad shit, but I know that there's going to be something beneficial that comes out of it. I know that if I get through this, so 3 years ago I went through cancer, and that sucked, and my life changed. But I knew that I would have something to offer other people. And in the last 6 months, I've had 3 or 4 guys come to me who are going through the same process that I went through with cancer, and I've been able to help them. But it broke me down far enough that I reached a level of humility that I had never recognized before, I'd never seen before. I love the word humble, but you cannot be a humble person and claim humility, right? It's just like, if you claim to be humble, okay, you're out. No, you're not. So I strive for humility, right? And the cancer took me to a whole new level of that, because it's like every day you're, am I going to live? Do I get another one?
Right. That's real.
Yeah. So I've been able to use that. I mean, it sucked. I don't wish it on anyone, but I got a lot from it. So I've just added that to my repertoire of, things that I can use to help people out,
Yeah, and that was really significant for me too, when I realized that everything in life was serving me. Like when I really understood that and it really clicked in me, it was a game change. Again, it's like that mindset, right? When you know life is against me and this and that, it's like the victim shit, right?
Yeah.
But when I really understood that, and we don't like the bad stuff. Like we've gone through some pretty bad stuff and it really, really sucks. And in the midst of it, I remember just wanting to burn the fucking world, including me in it, like just torch it, gas it, like I don't want to live past this. I don't want to get to the point where I'm going to be able to help other people, because it gets pretty crazy. But
yeah, because this sucks right now.
Right now, this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's all the tools that you use to like kind of get out of that. Like, is it really a great idea to burn everything? No, it doesn't work that way. But the feeling is there, it gets strong. But when I really started understanding that, yes, everything is serving me, and even now that I'm on the other side of all my big stuff, and life's going to keep changing and more things will come up and challenges and whatever, I hold on to that so dearly, and that in itself, really owning that and embodying that, helps make the journey through the challenge so much smoother. I think
if we can accept that which is most embarrassing to us, what we carry the most, what we attach the most shame to, if we can accept it, we will be able to help other people, because it's really not as bad as what we think.
Right.
Our ego gets involved, and we get embarrassed, and it's like, this isn't who I am, and this isn't what I should be, and I should be so much more.
Yeah.
But when we do accept that, that's when we can help other people.
It's very liberating. It's truly the freedom. And I think that's what also I learned and really try to create even going forward is, I felt so locked down and limited and fearful about, self-imposed, what other people thought, blah, blah, all this stuff. And really my journey was a journey of freedom. I had discovered. I mean, there's a lot of other pieces, but this freedom to create, the freedom to be me, the freedom to express myself, the freedom to be able to just be a human who makes mistakes, who's learning and not shit all over myself for being human. Like, I didn't know how to do that because I'm very type A. I always am go, 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 do. Never, it's never enough. It's never enough. It was like I was filling this void of whatever it was. And it's like, I'm freeing myself of all of that. I feel like I'm a freedom fighter,
Oh, that's cool.
you know?
You said the word mistake. We are so afraid to admit that we've made a mistake. For whatever reason, somebody shamed us when we made a mistake once before, the trauma in our childhood, whatever. But our mistakes are our biggest pathways to growth.
Right.
And I look back at the mistakes I made, especially when I'm making it. And now, I've done this long enough that I know when I'm making a mistake, I need to look at why I'm doing it. What's my motivation? What am I trying to get out of it? And I do that now, and I learn from it, and I put myself in check. If we go through life and we don't learn from our mistakes, I mean, it's an ugly existence.
It is.
It really is. And I've made enough of them that I've got quite the education now.
Right.
It's like when I'm with my clients, I'm talking to them out of experience. It's like, you don't want to do that, man. What were you thinking? No. Why? Because I did it, and here's what happened.
Yeah. Do you have like a theme or a route where your mistakes usually come from? Like, have you been able to bring it down that far? Or is it all just sort of random? Just curious.
I never even thought about it. Well, there's one word that always comes up, and that's ego. It's ego and pride. I guess it would be more pride than ego, because we all want to look good. We all want to have a good presentation. So I think it would be that. I'm not a person that takes shortcuts. I'm willing to do the work for anything. So it's not like trying to be shady or anything like that. It's funny. Since I got sober, I don't break the law.
Sure.
I speed, but a speeding ticket 2 days ago. But I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my insurance and my registration and all that stuff. So I'm not trying to take shortcuts. But in answer to your question, I guess it would be pride.
Yeah. I think for me, I don't know. That's actually a good question that I have to reflect on myself. I don't know if I quite have an answer. The first thing that popped into my head is I just don't know. Like I think I was telling you, I've switched from, like, I've made a mistake just because I don't fucking know. Like, I've gone from being a nurse practitioner and having a PhD and working for other people, and like even my education was all like, they tell me what to do, I learn the material, and then I take a quiz, right? For me, it's like it's common sense, right? You just do what you're told. It's no different than working 9 to 5 or whatever. I've totally switched my life into this, like, I have no one telling me what to learn, what to do. I'm the master of my domain. And it was like a big, like, holy shit. I understand why it was so uncomfortable when I first stepped into entrepreneurialism and being a creator and all this stuff. It's like, I realized it was like a 180-degree turn. And so if I misstep all the time, and I like to call it misstepping than mistakes, but I just don't know. I feel like I'm floundering, but I'm allowing myself that because this is part of the experience. It was very hard, but it's kind of nice. I've been able to reconcile some of my type A personality with a little bit of this risk taking, but educated risk, knowing that in any risk, there is a percentage where you could misstep.
Yes.
And that's okay.
It's funny.
But
I had this conversation with someone today with my business partner. I started my own company. I was the guy, boots on the ground, for 17, 18 years. I was out there working with clients and, giving up my own life to help change theirs. And it was just in the last year that I decided to step out, open my own company, my own brand, and hire other coaches to do the work. And I oversee and I case manage. So my partner and I were talking today about just that thing because I feel like I'm making mistakes, missteps,
Sure.
because I know how to do the work, but I never had any experience overseeing the whole process, right? So I've got these other guys that are out on the road working for me under my brand, and I coach them on how to be a coach. It's a whole new thing for me, because I want to get in there and do the work, and I'm used to that, and I'm used to making other people look really good by doing that. But now, it's like I spent so many years on the road, I want to be at home a little bit,
Yeah.
So,
You're having a little withdrawal about that?
oh yeah,
Yeah. You just want to jump in there.
I've been home since January. I traveled, well, after COVID. I started working in about April of, what was that, 2020, when COVID hit, and this was right after I had healed up from my surgery to remove my cancer. And since that time, I have been working nonstop. I've been on the road traveling, and I've been all over the world. And I came home in January and said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm going to stop traveling. I'm going to live a life." I have all these things in my house that I don't even remember buying, right? It's like, oh, that's cool. I bought that. Wow. And it's like refamiliarizing myself with the things that I have and with a life here in Vegas. And so it's been a little uncomfortable. And I like to see results. I'm really into results, right? So I do the work, I do the groundwork, set the foundation, and then, all right, let's go. Come on, where's my results? Let's go. And there's some things that I'm waiting on, that I'm just waiting on other people to, do what they're supposed to be doing. And I find that impatience is a character defect of mine.
So that is your next level. Okay, viewers, this is Rick's next level. He's switching into guidance mode. He's now going to be a manager or a supervisor or a director, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
And this is a big challenge. So you're going to have to change your whole approach. Your results are going to be on the coach's ability to do what they need to do instead of you getting the results from your clients. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I have to trust others, and fortunately I have been able to, in 22 years of being a coach, I've come across some exceptional coaches, and I brought these guys and young ladies into my corral, and I have amazing coaches working with me, but it's just trusting them, and then, going through their notes, and, I always want to say, well, I would have done it this way. But I'm not there. I'm not boots on the ground. I don't see what's going on, and maybe the way they handled it was the correct way, and maybe I should just shut my mouth, right? But this whole management thing is new for me, and it's what's next, and it's what I want to do, because the other thing is I love coaching these younger coaches, because I really was one of the guys who started this industry of what they called them sober companions and sober coaches, and I was in on the ground floor of that, and now it's become this huge industry, and everybody's getting certifications, and people are getting all this education, and when we started doing it, we were just guys who knew how to listen basically and could make some good decisions, but now everybody's got these degrees and certifications and all, so I went back and got some of that. But it's really cool to watch how these younger kids, or I call them kids, they're 30s, how they're working and what they're doing, and it's transition for me. I'll get used to it. It'll come. It'll come.
And everyone has a different gift and ability to connect with their clients, to the way they speak, and there are even tools. Like the tools, like you heard when I was chatting with the producer before the show. I've been working with him, and we worked out some sort of strategy to help him get better sleep and feel better. And he found something that worked different. I mean, it's great. If we got the result, we got the result. Who cares about the approach and the hows of getting there? We got there.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we get there?
Right.
I will offer suggestions based on what I've gone through, what I know, and what I believe. But if you have another idea, I'll support it.
Yeah.
As long as we're working towards something. Let's do that.
Yeah, and it makes some logical sense. The pathway there makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Speaking of the pathway there, how did you get to Vegas? What brought you here?
Okay. So after 29 years in LA, I got a divorce and I gave away my house. So I was basically,
You gave away your house.
she got the house in
Got
the
it.
divorce.
So you were homeless-ish.
Well, it was funny because a friend of mine said, "Bro, you're homeless." And I was like, "Oh my God, I am." So he said, "Look, I had a very difficult divorce process, and it was in court for a long time." And he said, "Look, I have this house on Maui. Why don't you go chill?" And I thought, great idea. I'll go for 6 weeks. I'll go just stay on an island. I'd never been to Maui, and I'll just relax and figure out my next move. Well, that 6 weeks turned into 6 months, which turned into 5 years that I stayed on Maui. And while I was on Maui, I only kept 2 or 3 clients, and I would go out for a few months at a time, and go do a tour with them, or a production or whatever, and then come back to Maui. And I started to get what they call island fever. I was going a little cuckoo on that tiny little rock, right? And there was a manager that I'd worked with many years ago with one of his artists, who had another artist coming to Vegas to do a residency. And he called me up and he said, "Would you come to Vegas and do some coaching work with this performer I have?" I was like, "Yeah, anything to get off the island, sure, yeah." So I came to Vegas and I was here for a few months. And being an LA guy, there's only one area of Vegas that I had ever seen, and that was the Strip, right? I didn't know that anything else existed. So in the 3 months that I was here working with that artist, I got out. I went out to Red Rock. I went hiking. I saw all these other neighborhoods. I drove around town, and I was like, I should live here. And I wanted to restart my work. I was taking a little break, and I was just, I wasn't taking any new clients at all. I was just working with the 3 guys that I'd been with for, several years. So finished the job, went back to Maui, packed everything up, put it on a boat, sent my stuff over here, and I arrived. But 10 days before I got here is when I got my cancer diagnosis.
Oh,
So my plans changed once I got here. I got on the ground here in Vegas, and it's like, okay, I got to get a medical team. I got to get the doctors and process, and so my career path got put on hold for a little while, and it's probably good that it did because it changed. My ideas of what to do and how to do it changed, and
you had more support out here too, because I mean Vegas and LA, they're so close.
oh yeah,
I'm sure you had a lot more people.
I had people show up from LA to come over and make sure I was okay.
Yeah.
And
A little bit more difficult if you were still in Maui going through all of
right?
it.
Yeah, you're so
Could have been a
remote.
different. I don't necessarily outcome, but it might have been a different experience just altogether. Maybe
Yeah.
not as supportive. And support is so important when you're going through something like that.
It really is, and I got to see who my friends were. It's funny, when I went through it, there were some people that were so freaked out by my diagnosis that it scared them off. And it was like almost as if they thought that cancer was contagious, that if they were around me, they'd catch it. I actually lost a few friends in that process. Don't know why, don't know what caused it, but it did happen. I mean, I lost friends because I had cancer.
Wow.
And yeah, it is what it is. But it was weird. It was
Yeah.
weird. But then the ones that are really close, I mean, they showed up. They really showed up.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need to have a network when we're going through our most difficult times.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we have to go through things alone. But it's not as comfortable, and it's very touch and go, because you can make bad decisions if you're going through things alone. You don't have any support systems.
Oh yeah, I've got to have
Because
someone
you get blinded by the mess you're in.
Yeah, you can't be objective about it.
You can't.
And I've got to have someone to bounce things off of, a good friend that I trust, or a therapist, or
Yeah.
somebody, a confidant who can be objective about my situation
Right.
and go, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah. Smack you upside the head. Exactly.
What is wrong with you? Where did that come from? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what I am with my clients. I am that guy.
Right.
You know, I will sit and I will listen and I will listen and I will listen. And then I'll say, hold on.
Right.
Where did you come up with that idea? Because here's how this may play out, right?
There are all of the holes in your process here.
Exactly. Yes. You have a leaky ship.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have a coach? Do you have someone that you talk to?
I do. I
do?
have a coach in LA. I have a therapist, who I talk to once a week, and I actually see him once a week. And I have a coach that I work with 2 times a month. I have people watching my process that I trust to call me out on my shit.
Right.
You know, we all need someone to call us out on our shit, and that's not a negative. That's not, calling someone on their shit is not a.
It's not a bad thing. It's not
a bad thing.
derogatory.
It's not
No.
derogatory, but I need someone to put me in check, and I have people that I trust that I allow them to do that.
I do too. Have someone, I kind of see her periodically. Sometimes it's every 2 weeks, sometimes it's weekly. Right now it's weekly because I'm just going through so much. Like I'm just up leveling like so many things. I just have this momentum like crazy. So yeah, it's the same. I've been seeing her. God, it's like, when is my 3rd year anniversary? Do you celebrate anniversaries with your
Not with my therapist.
Not with your therapist. No, that's probably not the one.
No, not really.
Okay, so I'm the weird one who
But God bless
celebrates.
you. You just keep celebrating those anniversaries, babe.
I know, I'm crazy like that. No, I think it's coming on 3. Is it 2.5? Oh, I'll have to ask her. But no, I do mine remote. She's in New Zealand. I fell
Really?
upon her through the community that I was coaching in when I first started getting into it. And it was just, yeah, she helped me, see through to the end. I was just getting to a point where I'm like, I can't navigate through this anymore. I mean, you know my story. I was in isolation, didn't have family. I was going through so much legal stuff. And it's like, I don't even know what to do. I was making headway, but you just get so bogged down. And sometimes you're on your knees and you're like, dude, I need someone to what direction? Like all the directions look the same to me. Like you just, as much as you go into your intuition, you connect and you do all the things. I think it's very, very valuable to have, like you said, someone who is impartial, a third-party person, someone you trust that can help you either bring you some clarity or check your ass. Yeah. Like, dude, bring it down a notch.
Yeah.
You're totally losing it. Or you know what? You're totally on track. You're seeing it clearly. Run.
And just add to it a little bit. It's like, that's a great idea, what you're talking about, but add this to it, or think about doing this along with.
Right.
I refer to them as the people with the flashlights.
Yeah.
It's like they're lighting up the path.
Right.
Like, 'cause when I'm in something, many times I can't see the path I'm supposed to take, and so I share with people I trust, and they are the people with the flashlight who show me which way to go. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's so brilliant. I love those moments. And it's like you can't reach those on your own. So
No.
I think we all need coaches. Like really, if it was up to me, I mean, I see so many people struggle. But again, people get in their own way. They don't really want to achieve. They think that they can't. There's all sort of reasons that people don't end up wanting to get a coach.
Well, they think there's weakness. It's like if I admit that I have a problem, then I'm weak.
Right.
If I call a professional, then there's something wrong with me. Well, no, it's helping you. Like nobody's perfect. There are very few people that can do things on their own. And we all need somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Right. Even the billionaires, they get together. You'd think that they're nemesis, but they actually get together and they banter and they talk about their projects and where they're getting roadblocks. Like there's so much collaboration that goes on that the layperson does not even know of the people that are uber successful.
Well, one of the cool things that was on TV was that show called Billions, and they had a therapist in the firm. It was a financial firm. It was this HBO show called Billions, and they had this therapist named Wendy who checked everybody who worked, with all this money. And, that happens. It's like big financial firms have coaches and performance people and therapists on staff now, because if you want results, we got to keep people clear. And that's why I get hired by by these artist managers, because their artists are, they're going to go out and they're going to do a big movie, or they're going to, go on tour, and that person needs to be clear and deliver. And if there's something eating at them, I get in there and I help them sort through it, and it's like, let's work this out, and it's a process, it's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight, but yes, we all need somebody to help us sort out the mess.
Right. So with some of the clients, can you give us an example of one like almost cataclysmic event that happened that you had to clean up? Like a client just like went overboard. You don't have to name who it is, but I never asked you this before, but I am a little curious, like some of the shit that you've had to clean up.
Okay.
Or help. Sorry, not clean up. You didn't clean it up, but you helped your client clean up.
Yeah, because if I'm cleaning up, then I'm just an enabler.
That's right.
Right. So, but I had a client that I worked with for a couple of years who was on a TV show, a very famous, popular TV show, and prior to me coming on board, he had missed a bunch of days of work because of his late night activities, and it got to the point where they could no longer take insurance days and say he was sick and he missed a day and the insurance pays for the production for the day, right? So they said, the next time that you don't show up, we're going to charge you $250,000. And so he pulled one of his stunts one night and locked himself into a room in his apartment and wouldn't come out. And I showed up at his apartment in the morning. We were supposed to get in the car and drive to the set, and have our day. And he's locked in and he won't come out. And I know what he's in there doing. He's been up all night. And
what was he doing? I don't know what he was doing.
Oh, shut up.
Can you? No, I swear to God.
Bolivian marching powder.
Okay.
Oh, he was doing a lot of blow.
Okay. A lot of blow. Okay. No, my mind was racing. I'm like,
really?
hookers and like masturbation. I don't know. Like those were going through my head.
He was doing a lot
So
of
by
blow.
himself, just doing blow.
Locked in a room with his script, studying his script, doing copious amounts of cocaine.
Okay.
So his driver came up into the apartment and we were trying to get him out, and he wouldn't come out. And I said to the driver, there's a hardware store down the street. Go get a crowbar and an axe. He's like, what? I just said, go get it. Go get a crowbar and an axe. And I was able to open the door with the crowbar and the axe.
Wait, hold on. You axed a door down. Like you chopped it like wood.
I shouldn't be saying this. Oh my God. Yeah.
No one knows. We don't know who this person is.
I got in.
Oh my God.
And he said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm saving you $250,000. Get your ass in the car and let's go to work. We all know what you're doing. And he bitched about the door being broken all day. I was like, I just saved you $250,000. At the end of that, I realized I probably should have just let him write the check.
Oh, yeah? Why?
Because I was saving him. And sometimes people should not be saved. Sometimes,
it's so hard to watch someone fall and burn.
But there has to be consequences, right? Sometimes the consequences are the only thing that get through. And I've been in situations where I've had to step back and allow some consequences to happen because it's the only thing that they're going to see. But this one time, it's like I was going to save this guy from having to write a check for $250,000. So I chopped down his door and I got him to work.
You got some exercise. You burned some calories.
I burned some calories. And then, got him to work, and he didn't have to write the check. And
did he get his ass out of bed the next day on his own?
Yes.
So he did learn, even though you saved him, he did learn a little bit from that. Okay.
And he did thank me. He's like, you know what, the door's no big deal. So don't worry about it.
It was a good call. then on that part.
Yeah, it's highly unprofessional.
Highly unprofessional.
I can't believe I just-
Unorthodox, but
Yeah.
it was effective in getting him to, yes, I'm on your side with that.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
unorthodox
All
for
right.
sure. Okay, is there an example of when you've had to witness your clients like burn? And like you want to save them, but you're just like, there needs to be consequences. I know he or she has to learn this. This is painful for me, painful for them, but you've had to let them just go.
Oh, I can't think of an instance. Well, I had a guy that I was working with, and I knew he was cheating on his wife, and she came to me and said, "I think my husband's cheating on me." It's like I cannot go down this path. I can't. This is their thing.
So you said that to yourself. You
To
said
myself,
it to her. Yeah.
to myself,
Oh, okay.
to
Yeah.
myself, and I said, "Oh, I'm unaware. I'm sorry. I haven't noticed anything." And I didn't. He never did it in front of me, right? But I knew it was going on, and she then came to me and she said, "Well, I've hired someone to follow him." So I guess me not telling him that he was being followed was kind of allowing the consequences to happen, because I said to him, "You just need to tell her that this isn't working anymore, and find a way. If it's supposed to end, let it end, but treat her with respect. Let her know." And he was like, "No, no, no, man, no. This is just a phase I'm going through," and so she told me that she was having him followed, and I shut my mouth. It's like, okay, here's a consequence, and we'll see what happens. And sure enough, she found out.
And
they were divorced.
yeah.
They were
So
divorced.
there was no reconciling or working
No.
through it. It was she just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. Well,
And that's a hard position to be in, because I'm there to to care for someone and to help them. And if you're being dishonest, I'm not going to cover it up. Again, I'm not going to co-sign it, and I'm not going to be an enabler. I'm trying to help people get better, and treat others with respect and make wise decisions. I can't sign up for bad behavior. And I've left jobs before because they want to do something shady.
Oh, yeah?
They don't want to play a game. They don't want to play along with my game. And it's like, what, this isn't working for me.
So they're wanting you to like hold secrets or.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I won't do it. I won't do it. Because if I'm not honest,
Then your credibility and everything goes out.
exactly, my
Yeah.
integrity, all of that. It's just I have to be the no guy a lot. I have to be the guy that sits down and says, I've already said this, but what the fuck were you thinking? And a lot of big stars are surrounded by yes men, and they all have their people around them saying, "Oh yes, that's a great idea. Yeah, you should do. Yeah," and I have to be the guy that says, "No, no, 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 no." And fortunately, I do get listened to most of the time. Most of the time, because they trust me.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Would you say that there's a particular type of, again, we're kind of getting into like the root with these particular type of celebrities that you work with that are in recovery or have addiction challenges, that is like, again, a common theme among them, like where the wound comes from or what sort of, where that hurt begins?
It's something that I've noticed, and I don't know if it's ever come up, but a lot of these people were the weird ones when they were young, because they had some sort of talent and they just stayed to themselves and worked on their talent, or they didn't quite fit in. Most of the people that I work with have this incredible ability to see beyond, right? To see outside of the box. Let's just say that, right? And they get it. but there's something that makes them afraid to look at it.
Oh.
Does that make sense? Okay, all right. So, you know, maybe somebody called them weird or somebody made fun of them, but a lot of people that I've worked with were very broken children, and they just went deeper and deeper into their, you know, their chosen profession or whatever, and you know, they had talent, and you know, they became somebody, but they're still carrying around this broken child. You know, and we, you know, we've all dealt with that. We all have had, you know, bad childhood experiences that probably linger, you know, and the voice pops up, says, "You're a piece of shit. What are you, you know, what are you thinking? What are you, nuts?" So I would say that would be a commonality for a lot of these people.
Yeah,
They were the odd ones.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That as they maybe didn't know how to cope with the world around them and being so different, they just dove deeper, which I'm sure only made them more brilliant and more able to do, you know, become successful.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, you're right. They just carried that with them without addressing it.
Very good way to put it. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy. So I also want to know why you have sort of come out of the shadows for yourself. You've stepped out. I'm popping your podcast cherry.
Popping that cherry.
Popped it just like that.
Oh,
Did it hurt?
But I like it.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. So you're stepping out. You're stepping forward. Is this all because you're, you know, now stepping into a new role?
Okay, yeah, so
What-
I
and
was in
what's
the
next?
shadows. I was always the guy that no one knew who he was. You know, I would be part of the entourage with, you know, this big star, and most of the people didn't know what I was doing. He's with us, but we don't know who he is, right? And I made it a point to never get photographed with any of my clients. I never talked about them publicly. There's only one person that's ever spoken about me publicly, and he was a big rock star who wrote about me in his book. So that was kind of cool. So I've stayed in the shadows, and no one knew who I was, and I liked it. I was comfortable there. But in starting my own company, starting Apex, I knew I had to go public, and coming to Vegas. In LA, I've got all the connections. I know the managers, the attorneys, you know, all the business people, the agents, and they know me. But coming to a new town, nobody knows me. You know, no one in Vegas knows me. And so I have to come out of the shadows. And it's a scary thing for me because I think that, you know, if people recognize my face and they see me with someone who might be famous, they're going to assume that famous person's got a problem, right?
Right. Yeah.
But as it was laid out to me, Rick, you're no longer the guy that's with the famous person. You are overseeing another coach who's with that person. Like, okay, yeah. So, I'm doing things like this podcast. I'm talking about what I do. And, in a few weeks, there's going to be an article in the Review Journal about what I do. And we've been working on that for a while now. And because I'm not important, they keep pushing it.
Oh, God. No.
But the article's supposed to come out in the Sunday paper in a few weeks. And that will be my big introduction to Vegas. And, there's a lot of people from LA who now live in Vegas who are, movers and shakers. And so they've been introducing me to a lot of people, here in town. And I'm finding out where I belong, finding my little spot.
And I'm sure that spot will come full force once the article comes out and everybody.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm sure it'll be a big step forward at least.
Oh yeah.
If
I mean,
not, they
doing a website was a big thing for me because I didn't want people to know who I was. Mm-hmm. So I finally launched a website, and I spent about 6 months. Well, the builders of my website, the developers, spent about 6 months on it because I couldn't make decisions. Like, no, I can't do that. No, I won't do that. I won't do that. I won't do that. And, they finally talked me down out of the tree. And So now I have a website.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
big stuff. So how are you being a coach, like a master coach? You're entering a whole new phase. Like, how are you? What's your process for yourself? Like, yes, we know you have a coach and a therapist, but like, what are you doing to make sure that you're like not getting in your own way and you're not staying stuck and you're not like, you know, again, mistakes will happen. That's part of movement forward. But like, just saying, I don't want to do this and letting the fear take over.
Okay, well, therapy is one. All right.
Okay.
I'm big into wellness, mindfulness. There's a word I'm going to say, which I know you hate.
Uh-oh.
Meditation.
It's a swear word. We're
Yeah.
going to bleep that one out. No. We talked about meditation. Between you and I, we can use the word meditation.
Yes.
But for the general public, we all know you fucking hate the word meditation. Everyone's done it. I've done it. I can't do it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. We get you all hate meditation. So
sitting still.
we talked about
I
being
have a
still.
stillness practice that I do. A stillness practice that I do every day for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And when I'm working really hard on something, there are times when I feel like I'm not being inspired because I keep banging my head against it, trying to find the answer. And it's when I go to my stillness and the meditation, I'm allowing the inspiration to come in, and I may come out of a sitting with an idea. It's like, oh my God, that's amazing. So the meditation calms me down. I'm big on saunas and ice baths. I do 2 saunas and 2 ice baths a week. Nature is a big one for me, just connecting to the earth, the energy that, is in the ground and in the mountains. It's like, I live on the west side of Vegas and Summerlin, and I just love looking in the mountains. It gives me so much power. But
Do you like get your toes in the dirt kind of thing?
I ground.
Yeah.
I ground. I'm
I
like
love
so
it.
hippie with some shit. It's
just
so weird.
It's so funny because I'm the same way too. Like, you know how I walk around, I'm like statuesque thing, and people are like, "Oh my God, you look so." And then there I am, like literally hugging a tree with my toes dug into the dirt. Like, it does not make sense. I sound so hippie, but this is real shit.
Yeah,
This
thank
is real
the
tools.
universe for the gifts that are given me. I thank the universe. I don't know how this happened, but it feels right for me.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of time into mindfulness and wellness, and it's like it makes me better. I like who I am when I do these things.
And it's tapping into the stillness. You tap into like this other vortex, like the conscious states that we can, and these are scientific, like meditation. There's so much, so much literature supporting all of the positive effects, but really it's about just getting still, it's connecting, and there's magic. There's real fucking universal magic. Those serendipitous thoughts, the downloads, whatever you want to call them, you connect to that infinite knowledge and that wisdom in that space. And you said something very wonderful, and I wrote it down, and I want everyone listening to hear it. We had talked a little bit about like the creation process and the importance of knowing when to do and when to stop doing. Right? Do you remember the phrase that you said?
I know what you're going to say.
There's energy in inactivity.
Absolutely.
And I just like had a brain gasm. And I'm like, oh my God, that is like the best way to explain it, because there's like, that's one of the big things people get stuck on in their creation or manifestation process, whatever you want to call it, is they're do, but they don't let there be time to marinate and to just allow the germination to occur. And that's where when you allow that space for what you're creating to be created, it's in that process of stepping back. And it's so, when you said the energy and inactivity, it's like a beautiful way of explaining exactly what happens. And I find that like the clients I've worked with, that is the hardest part.
Oh yeah, because we want to fuck with it. It's like I gotta do this. It's like, leave it alone.
Yeah.
If you've put quality work into something, you said the word germinate. You've got to let it germinate. Leave it alone. There are 3 words that I love, written by Lennon and McCartney. Let it be. Let it be.
Oh yeah.
because it will become. Whatever it is you're putting this energy into, it will become. If it's supposed to be, if it's supposed to happen. Now I'm getting really hippie. But
Be hippie.
I live this way. I love it.
Yeah.
And you've got to let it happen. So the word inspiration, that, what you're talking about is, the word inspiration. It's like we have to leave things alone for inspiration to come. Because if you're constantly working hard and, going at it and going at it and going at it, you're not making space to be inspired, because you're always thinking, and it's in the stillness when it comes.
That's right.
The inactivity.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And there's a lot of trust, I think, in that too. People don't, because we become human doers, not human beings. And being is the energy of inactivity. When you just allow it to be.
Yeah.
You're actually being human, and that's where the magic is, right? Yeah, people just, they don't grasp. And this is why I always talk about stillness and manifestation creation. And a lot of people like harp on, wow, manifestation, I don't believe it because you can't just think your way through. Well, no one's saying not to take action. That's the problem, is that people are making too much action.
Right.
The action is going to come. There's no way that we, especially in our country, will not take action. Like that's going to happen. What we need to be focusing on is the breathing, the relaxing, and just allowing shit to really align, and being aware of the signs of when they're aligning too, because you need that.
And it's not being lazy. Leaving something alone is not laziness, and it's not paying attention to it. It's like you got to give it space. And this word lazy, is thrown around way too much. Like, you've got to get off your ass and get it done. It's like, sometimes, no, you need to be on your ass with your eyes closed, breathing in and out, because that's how it's going to happen. And we can go into a path of quantum physics, but
yes.
But we're not going to do that.
Not here. We'll have coffee and we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've done a lot of reading. Well, recovering from cancer, I did a lot of reading, and that's a whole nother thing. Quantum physics, just like how my thought here can affect someone in India. It's like, what?
I mean, telepathy actually has been scientifically proven. Like, we know that it exists. It happens. I mean, okay.
All right.
That's a whole
Next.
other conversation. Right. Yeah.
All right.
That's a whole other podcast. We're wrapping up pretty soon here. So this is really fantastic. I'm really excited about this new venture that you're going on, that you've stepped out and you're like, being a boss in a different way, instead of a boss of yourself and, your clinical work. You're going to be an actual boss to other coaches and helping them kind of groom and cultivate.
And I don't like the word boss.
Well, I say it lightly, boss man,
No, you're absolutely right. I'm in charge. It's my name that's on the company. And so technically, yes, I'm a boss, but I want to help other coaches grow and develop.
Sure.
And if I can give them a venue to do that in, it really makes me happy, because, I've had hardships in my life, and then I've had this great career, and I can share parts of my great career with these other coaches to help them make better decisions. Yeah. Because I've made all the wrong choices in coaching, and that's what made me better, because I always had to make adjustments. There's always a tweak to do, like, okay, we're going to change that next time. We're going to go a different avenue.
Right. So for our sort of wrap up here, for our listeners, anyone who might be suffering from an addiction or is trying to recover, or is in recovery, or has a family member or friend who's struggling, is there some advice that you can give them about like the first step they can make to sort of recovering?
Well, it's always call someone, it's always get advice from someone who's been through it. Find a soldier who's fought in that war, of addiction. And there's a lot of professionals, a lot of clinicians who give advice on addiction who've never really studied it, but they have, they have their degrees in, different psychologies and such. And you've got to use somebody who's actually been through it, because for addicts, we get clean and alcoholics get sober with the help of another alcoholic. Mm-hmm. We know the path. The other alcoholic is the guy with the flashlight, lighten up the path for him. And so I would say, if you're going to use a professional, make sure that professional has been through the ringer themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And if it's the partner or a friend, encourage the individual to get help.
Yeah. And it's okay to have ultimatums. Again, it goes back to consequences. Don't say, if you do this again, I'm going to leave you, without the intent of leaving. If you say it, mean it. It's like, you're destroying our relationship. If you do this again, I'm going to leave you. You better frickin' leave the next time it happens. Mm-hmm. Consequences.
Okay.
There's got to be consequences, because that's, for me, I ended up in a hospital in a coma, because I wasn't listening to what everyone was saying to me, and I overdosed and almost went bye-bye.
Wow. It's powerful. Thank you for sharing.
That was my consequence. I was in a coma for 3 days.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so consequences, everybody. We don't like them, but they definitely move us as human beings. We sometimes have to hit rock bottom to say, okay, shit, we can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, tough love is a big one in my book. Mm-hmm. I'm all about tough love.
That's awesome. It's great. Wonderful words to finish up on. Well, thank you so much, Rick, for being here.
Thank you,
appreciate you.
Great to see you.
And thank you all for tuning in. Again, you can reach Rick online. Yep, you've got his information up there. All right, you guys, until next time.